Hey everyone, Ollie here from 𝕣𝕖𝕧𝕚𝕚, and I'm finally here to give you my review on Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So for people that don't know, I have reviewed the first one on the channel, so I will leave a link in the description below so you guys can go check that out and see my thoughts on that film. But to quickly sum it up, the first film I really enjoyed. I mean, it's critically acclaimed one of the best action films of all time, including this one, if not better, actually. I think it's won multiple awards for this. But anyway, so just to let you guys know, because you're probably wondering which cut of the film I watched, because there's multiple cuts of the film. There's 3 cuts, I believe. Well, there's 3 cuts on this disc that I have here. So you got the original theatrical cut, then you got the special edition, and then you got the extended special edition. So I ended up watching the extended special edition because Rusty said that I should, so I did, which is the longest version of this, which I believe, yeah, it's 2 hours and 2.5 hours. Yeah, so well, I said 2 hours and 35 minutes, but that includes the credits, so it's like 2.5 hours basically, which is a runtime that I usually don't push myself to go watch because it's a long time, and sometimes I do get a bit. There are points in films usually of that runtime I do get a little bit, but this film, I gotta say, for its runtime, it was paced very well. I've got to be honest, because again, I'm not really one of those types of people that really lean towards 2.5 hour films, if longer. I mean, the only film that I really like also that is over 2.5 hours long is The Batman, which is just under 3 hours. So I really enjoyed that, but also really enjoyed this film, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's just as good, maybe if not better than the first one. I'm not saying the first one's bad by any means. Like I said, I really like the first one, but action-wise, this is definitely much better than the first one. Not to say that the first one was bad by any means, but I mean, look at all the action. If you've seen the film, by the way, spoilers ahead. But if you've seen all the action sequences in this film, it is so much better than the ones in the first film. They're intensified. There's so much more of it. So of course, at the end of the first film, Kyle, which was one of the other not Terminators, but one of the other people from the future, with the Terminator obviously being there. Obviously, Kyle was killed by the Terminator in the last film. Unfortunate, but he does play a cameo, of course, in this. I say a cameo, but I mean, it's a ghost. He's a ghost. Because when I saw this, when I saw the cast list for this film before watching the film, which I shouldn't have done really, but I was like, wait, how is he in this film? I was like, oh yeah, of course, a ghost. How else could he be back? But yeah, it was cool to see him because he was a great character in the first one. And then Sarah Connor is just an absolute badass in this film. Of course, not as much of a badass as Arnold, of course. Obviously, he plays the Terminator. But yeah, I action's way more intense. Story-wise, now, if you didn't actually watch the review for the first film that I did, which was only a couple of days ago, or maybe 3 days ago now, I mentioned that Rusty, of course, the one who gave me the first 2 films, he said to me he prefers the story of the first one, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, you're going to have to clarify this in the comments, Rusty, if you're watching. I hope you are, because you're the one who lent it to me. But you need to let me know if I'm right in saying this. I'm pretty sure you said this, but you said that you obviously, I know you said that the story for the first one is to you is better, but I think you said the action is much better in this one. I see why you would say that, of course, but I just want to be correct in saying that. So correct me if I'm wrong, Rusty. Yes, so he preferred the first one in terms of story. Do I agree? In some ways, yes. And in some ways, I'd like to say that this has a better story. It has better character development. or character arcs. Of course, John, young John anyway, because apparently he's in the other films, but he's older. Um, he's in this. He's like 10 years old. Apparently, from the credits, the opening credits, apparently this is his first role, the actor's role that plays John, and he thought he did a pretty damn good job as John. Okay, so basically the plot of this film is that basically Skynet, obviously the antagonist artificial intelligence group, basically they've sent down another Terminator, not Arnold Schwarzenegger, although he is in this film, but he's not the antagonist this time. The antagonist is now known as 𝕤�1000, played by Robert Patrick, for people that don't know who he is. Well, for me personally, I know him. He plays Peacemaker's dad in Peacemaker. I keep forgetting his name, but the old guy who plays the old guy who plays Peacemaker's dad. Yeah. Yeah, he looks a bit different in this. So I was, oh yeah, completely forgot that that's who he plays. So basically, Robert Patrick's character, or the Terminator in this case as well, he's basically been sent back in time to kill John Connor when he's 10. And then the Resistance, the good guys, of course, they basically send down their Terminator, the good Terminator, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger's, which is, was it 𝕤�800? Yeah, 𝕤�800. And yeah, basically, Arnold's character is basically the one that has to protect John Connor from being killed by 𝕤�1000, Robert Patrick's character. So it's basically John, 𝕤�800, and Sarah Connor to basically stop 𝕤�1000 from obviously killing John, and potentially Sarah as well, of course. Although she's not really necessary at this point, because obviously he's already born now, so John Connor's the only one that really needs to be killed. So yeah, so John is now 10. He's a bit of a nuisance because he doesn't like his foster parents, because Sarah Connor is now in a mental hospital basically, after the incident of the first film. And yeah, so she's locked up. She escaped eventually, and then in the middle of that, basically, Arnold's character, of course, 𝕤�800, the numbers, is basically trying to find John and keep him safe from obviously 𝕤�1000, Robert Patrick's character, and 𝕤800. Arnold is to basically defeat or terminate 𝕤�1000, of course. So that's basically the aim of the film, basically, and yeah, that's the basis of the film, basically. So if any of that made sense, then cool. If you don't, then watch the film yourself if you haven't watched it. So yeah, so 𝕤�1000, which is obviously the antagonist, is actually made of. He's basically a shape-shifting Terminator made of indestructible liquid metal, basically. So whenever he gets shot, he basically heals back up, basically. And it's quite hard, very hard for him to get killed. So yeah, this film's really insane in terms of action. So yeah, so because of the death of Kyle, obviously John's dad, and then Sarah's boyfriend, so he never really got to see his real dad, of course. And Arnold is basically his father figure at this point, because whilst when John and the Terminator, Arnold, meets, he thinks he's nuts, and he's like, oh my god, you're a Terminator. He thinks it's cool for a minute, and then he gets annoyed, and he almost terminates a bunch of other humans But he's like, oh no, stop, you can't kill people. And he's like, why? And he's like, no, you can't kill people, just trust me. And then later on they do that. So yeah, anyway, that's one of the big highlights of this film to me is the relationship between John Connor and T-800, obviously Arnold. And it's great that they kept him obviously like a cyborg, a robotic, so he doesn't have really many feelings, but near the end he begins to try and show that, um, show those emotions. But it's still, I like that they try and not cliche it, because obviously he is still a cyborg, but they try and make it seem like he has feelings, which is cool. So this film goes above and beyond in terms of action. It's basically action throughout almost all of the runtime. Basically, it's insane how much action there is in this film. Um, so like I said, Sarah Connor is basically instituted in this hospital, and she escapes, and all the people that work there don't believe her with all this Judgment Day stuff. So she gets really annoyed by that, of course, and eventually she escapes the institute or hospital. Um, and yeah, basically she runs off. Um, John and Sarah meet up and reunite. Um, Initially, John is ashamed by Sarah because he thinks she's nuts. I mean, she kind of is, but it's not necessarily her fault. Um, but they end up having great moments in the film, especially near the end. I mean, Sarah makes it clear that she always loves John, of course, and John does the same, of course. But it takes a little bit of time for them to um, become the mother and son that you would want them to be. Um, but yeah, it's kind of weird to talk about this film because it's a lot of action, great action actually, much better than the first one, like I already said earlier. But um, yeah, I mean, at the end, of course, Uncle Bob, Arnold's character, um, yeah, which is his alter ego basically in this film, to John, because he made that up. Oh, by the way, I got the years mixed up, or the future year mixed up. Rusty corrected me when he messaged me after I uploaded the video. I was like, oh damn it! It's not 2026, it's 2029. I missed 3 years off. Sometimes I get confused with 9 and 6 for some reason. I'm like, is it 6 or is it 9? And it's always a 50-50 in it. So it's 2029 when the war happens basically, and yeah. So yeah, so this is obviously set in the 90s now. I don't want to say exactly when, then I'm gonna get it wrong, and then yeah. So yeah, so the Terminators, of course, the good one and the bad one basically get sent to that year. The good one tries to protect John from the bad one that comes, that's there to terminate John. And yeah, it's basically the basic premise of this film is that they're supposed to stop T-1000 from killing John. So I'm after the ending of the film, I'm very interested to see how 3 ties up into this, because I know that the first 2 were done by James Cameron, but the third, the rest of them, yeah, he didn't direct any of the other ones, but apparently he did co-wrote Dark Fate, which is the most recent film. It came out in 2019, I believe, which didn't get good reception. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm very curious to see how the third one, which is called Terminator 3, I can't remember, something about machines or something, I think. I don't know. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how the third one ties up into this. I know that the third one isn't that well received, at least compared to the first 2 films, but yeah, I heard that they get worse over time each film. So I don't know if I should just stick to these 2 films, watching these 2 films, or if I should just continue. I don't know. But anyway, the two films that I watched, the complete story, main story anyway, I really, really liked. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say. If you have any questions, guys, please pop them down in the comments. Like, if there's anything that I haven't mentioned in this review, like parts of the film that you want me to know about, please put them down there. And I'll, again, as always, I'll very happily try to reply to as many of them as I possibly can. And yeah, so with that said, I'm gonna give it my rating now. So, like I said, I'm gonna get up now. Like I said, Rusty really liked the first one in terms of story, so he prefers that one over story, but he said that he liked action more in this one, and I agree with the action wise, but story wise, I think this is just as good as the first one in terms of story. But in terms of action, with all that and all the other stuff put into place in this film, you know what? I give the first one a 9 out of 10. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. Again, I really enjoyed it. I know I've probably said that a bunch of times in this video, but I really did. Again, comment below if there's anything you want me to answer, like anything about the film. What did I think of this? Yeah. Yeah, also really like the Terminator fights between the two Terminators, obviously. T800 and T1000. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say, guys. I mean, again, comment below any questions, please put them down there. I'll leave a link in the description for the first review if you haven't checked it out. And yeah, I feel like I've missed a lot of things that I wanted to say, but you know, I've just sat through a 2.5 hour film, so I'm a bit drained, if I'm being honest, even though I really enjoyed it. So, but yeah, I'll very happily answer as many comments as I can from you guys. Not that many of you will, but any questions, literally anyone, including Rusty, yeah, let me know, and I'll happily comment. So yeah, that's it for this review, guys. Let me know what you guys think of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And let me know what you guys would rate the film, and let me know what you like about the film. Is there anything you didn't really like about the film? Yeah, so that's it for me in this video. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, which, well, I have something planned, but I'm not sure if it will be the next video. But yeah, I'll see you then. Bye bye.